Now, on a special edition of KGW News, tens of thousands gather across the Portland metro to deliver one message: no kings.
But we've got to show our children and grandchildren this is how it's done.
A look at the demonstrations held locally and across the United States. Plus 10 years of waiting and still holding out hope that justice will be served.
Inside, I deal with this pain on a daily basis.
One mother's plea to the community 10 years after her son was killed. Thanks so much for joining us on this special edition of KGW News. I'm John Adams. Tens of thousands of protesters made their voices heard across the Portland metro and beyond as part of the nationwide No Kings rallies. The largest in Portland, of course, but police in Eugene say there were up to 4,000 people participating in a march there. We are also aware demonstrations being held in Clackamas, Tigard, Lake Oswego, and Vancouver. Our Jay Coulter was in the Portland crowds earlier this afternoon.
We heard from everyone from faith leaders to drag queens at this No Kings rally before protesters took to the streets in the thousands. And those Portlanders tell me that this rally feels different with the threat of the National Guard presence looming.
We believe in kindness and love.
The fact that everyone's here today really means a lot of who we are as Portland.
Showing up matters.
Protesters flooded the streets in costumes and inflatables, holding signs and playing instruments to protest against the Trump administration.
False narratives being told, and Oregonians have picked up the right way to respond with nonviolent direct action.
Reverend Dr. Mark Knutson making reference to recent characterizations of Portland as, quote, war-ravaged amid protests at the ICE facility in response to recent ICE raids and the threat of National Guard deployment.
We declared ourselves a sanctuary church when I first got back 30 years ago. We've held ICE out. Because with our neighbors hurting, we cannot be silent.
The recent ICE activity is why many we spoke to decided to come to the rally.
I'm just horrified at the way they're treating immigrants and people of color and grabbing people off the streets, and I think it's pretty disgusting.
One family we spoke to who chose to remain anonymous told us this is their first protest, and it's also serving as a way to instill their family values onto their daughter.
We talk with our daughter that we believe that all families should be able to stay together. There are families in our community who are being separated. They're just trying to live their lives. They have children who are going to school, they're working in jobs, contributing in important ways. And that's something that's important to us as a family.
The march continued for hours and appeared overwhelmingly peaceful. KGW did observe a few agitators on the corner who seemed to be trying to pick fights with the protesters. But a senior faith leader says these protests are essential.
We're not afraid. That's right. That's the one thing for sure. We're not afraid. Those who came before us and fought for us to be able to have what we have today, they were not afraid. That's right. We recognize these are some of the things that must be done because otherwise people want us to be silent, and we absolutely refuse to be silent.
Jay Coulter, KGW News.
Well, let's take a live look outside right now, outside of the ICE facility in South Portland. One flyer circulating told protesters to gather here this evening after the No Kings rallies. Again, President Trump wants to deploy National Guard troops to Portland in part because of what he has called violent protests that have happened here. Portland police say they've detained 3 people tonight, with one being booked into jail. Again, the Portland Metro saw just several of the more than 2,000 No Kings rallies held today across the country. NBC's Melanie Zanona is in the nation's capital with more.
Millions of protesters have turned up to rallies all across the country, and that includes right here in D.C., President Trump's own backyard. There has been a huge turnout. The crowd has been really fired up, and I've been talking to people about what motivated them to come here. One of them, a former federal worker who was forced out of her job, she said she came here alone because most of her friends were scared to be persecuted. Another, a healthcare worker, worried about the immigration raids and what impact that's going to have on her community, including the healthcare system, many of them workers themselves. And another, just a man concerned about the general direction of the country. He says he loves America, but he's worried about the erosion of the democracy here in the United States. Now, this protest does come amidst a government shutdown in Washington. The Capitol Police, who are not being paid right now, are part of what is a very heavy police presence, including some snipers on a nearby roof. But in talking to the crowd here, everyone wants to send a message not only to President Donald Trump, but also to their elected officials in Washington as well. Melanie Zanona, NBC News, Washington.
Now, all of this as we continue to wait for several different cases to play out in their respective courts. On Friday, President Trump appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, asking justices to allow him to deploy National Guard troops in U.S. cities. While that appeal deals with a case out of Chicago, it could have significant implications on what happens on the ground in Portland. It was a scary situation near a No Kings protest that was happening this afternoon in Vancouver. Police arrested a driver on suspicion of DUI and reckless driving after Jason Miller allegedly rear-ended a car. A pedestrian was hurt trying to avoid the crash. No protesters were hit. All right, turning now to weather. We saw a spectacular start to the weekend with some sunny skies and really pleasant temperatures earlier this afternoon. And now we're going to see some changes overnight into Sunday. We're already starting to see some of those outside right now. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri is here with a look at our first forecast. Hey, Joe.
Hey there, John. I was at my son's football game this afternoon. Gorgeous. Had put a little sunscreen on my face to protect myself. It was warm. Yeah, now it's cool and wet, and that cool and wet pattern is going to carry over into the overnight hours and into a good portion of tomorrow. Outside Providence Park, you can see the Timbers match just kind of wrapped up here in the Goose Hollow neighborhood of southwest Portland. We're seeing a temperature of 52 degrees. Humidity is at 98%. You see that nice looking cinnamon roll kind of looking cloud out there? Well, that's the upper level low that's going to be moving in tonight, bringing in some cooler temperatures and some rain. We're already starting to see some evidence of that heavy downpours just throughout the northwest side of the state. You travel out of the suburbs, away from the city and into the suburbs, you're looking at dry conditions right now. You'll start to see the rain pick up in the overnight hours. I have this stopped here right around when the heaviest bands of rain will start to be moving through. That's basically after midnight. So from about 1 to 3 in the morning, we'll be picking up some yellows and some oranges. So that sound of rain that might wake you up, well, it is just that, just some heavy downpours heading into the overnight hours and into tomorrow. Then we transition to more scattered showers by tomorrow afternoon with a threat of thunderstorms. Coming up in my detailed forecast, John, I'll talk more about how much rain is in the forecast and when we could be seeing another round of heavy downpours.
All right, Joe, we'll see you soon. Thank you. New tonight, a person already in custody is now facing murder charges in Vancouver. Just before 11:30 Wednesday morning, staff at Studio 6 Suites called police after finding blood across a hotel room. Inside, officers found the body of 51-year-old Cami Pollock. While investigating, they identified 27-year-old Joseph Uriarte as the suspect and booked him on second-degree murder charges. A Portland mother says she is broken inside, living 10 years without knowing who killed her son in downtown Portland. Our Libby Dowsett spoke to the mother of Dion Matthews Jr. on this 10th anniversary of his death.
KGW has followed this story for years and talked to Dion's mother many times. But she told me in this entire decade, she's only received one real tip.
But inside, I'm broken. Inside, I deal with this pain on a daily basis.
For 10 long years, Tanya Mayo has pleaded for someone to come forward with information about her son's homicide.
And I have faith, and I have hope, and I believe, and I trust.
Police say 23-year-old Dion Anthony Matthews Jr. died from a gunshot wound in a parking lot near Dante's nightclub on Southwest 3rd and Burnside, October 18th, 2015. Dion's mom said he had just gotten out of a concert and the people he was with scattered and never even called paramedics when Dion was shot.
So no one know anything? No one seen anything? Come on now.
Mayo says the only person who has called in a tip is a man who was downtown at the time of the shooting and said he comforted Dion as he took his last breath.
But that was an ounce of hope, an ounce of faith that what I'm doing is the right thing and my voice is being heard.
Dion leaves behind 2 sons, now 12 and nearly 10. The youngest born just 2 months after his father's death.
And he always say, what would my dad been doing? What was my dad like? Or, I really wish I could have got a chance to meet my dad.
Mayo says with a Crime Stoppers reward of up to $2,500, she's hoping someone will provide a tip.
What if this was your child? What if this was your daughter, your son? Wouldn't you want answers? Wouldn't you want closure?
Libby Dowsett, KGW News.
Well, if you have information to share, you can email homicidetips@police.portlandoregon.gov or submit a tip anonymously through Crime Stoppers of Oregon. You can find the link to the Crime Stoppers website under this article on our website, kgw.com, and on our KGW News app. Firefighters in Salem helped rescue a driver from a pickup truck after it was involved in a crash with a semi. Salem Fire Department says it happened at Kubler and Sunnyside Road Southeast sometime late last night. The driver was taken to a nearby hospital. Their condition is unknown. Well, still to come on the show tonight. Now in the nation's third week of a federal government shutdown, one agency is warning money that millions rely on is about to run out. And in the Pacific Northwest, a look at how tech is helping sprout new life in areas impacted by wildfires. Welcome back to this special edition of KGW News. Let's take a look at your headlines. Roughly 42 million Americans are at risk of losing critical food assistance next month amid the government shutdown. The Agriculture Secretary announced last week the food stamp program will run out of money in November. It's not clear whether the Trump administration will step in to find the funds to continue paying benefits as it has for other priorities. President Trump says it was his honor to destroy a drug-carrying submarine headed to the U.S. Today on Truth Social, he released video showing the strike on the sub. Trump says 2 narco-terrorists who survived the hit are being returned to Ecuador and Colombia. He says U.S. intelligence confirmed the sub was carrying fentanyl and other illegal narcotics. Former President Joe Biden has started radiation therapy to treat his prostate cancer. A spokesperson for Biden confirmed to NBC News that the radiation treatment started a few weeks ago and that he is, quote, doing very well. The former president will continue his radiation treatment in the pill form of a hormone medication that he has already started. Wildfires can do a lot of damage to our forests and our fields. As part of our Environment Northwest series, we're taking a look at how drones are now helping with recovery from wildfires. Our Tim Gordon got to see how they're restoring ranch lands in the Tye Valley area.
A fast-moving wildfire in July of 2024, the Larch Creek Fire, tore into the area around Ty Valley, ultimately burning more than 18,000 acres of brush, trees, and fields. Damage to the landscape can take years to heal, but a year later, there's help.
So in this particular thing is about 12 different seeds.
Reseeding with native grasses and plants on ranch lands in the burn area.
I've been in aviation for well over 50 years.
Mike Davis is a multi-skilled pilot with a PhD in aeronautical engineering.
It's just part of my life. It's what I do.
And these days, his big focus is drones that are getting the job done in ways you may not realize. The reseeding here is done with a 55-pound drone that can hold at least that much in seed.
Aircraft preparing to take off. Stand back at a safe distance.
An unmanned aircraft doing serious business. Davis first flies a different drone to determine the area to reseed, then uses GPS technology to deliver the seed exactly where it's needed.
It's a tool for trade, so it's not only done in agriculture, but it's in construction, in survey, engineering. We see drones everywhere now.
Davis says the program here is a collaboration between ODF&W and ranchers in the area to get these lands ready again for grazing. Davis is a professor at Columbia Gorge Community College, where they've developed a precision agriculture program. And yes, it relies heavily on the use of commercial drones to do work that was previously done by hand or airplane, like you see in this fruit orchard.
It just makes it quicker, better, and it makes a better return on investment.
Back around Ty Valley, it's a battery change and a refill of native seed. That job is performed by the director of marketing for the college, who enjoys taking it on.
I've got it down to under 3 minutes. That's kind of a new record for me today. And so just like plop that in, fill it back up, turn it back on, and we're up in the air again.
No time to waste on a cool and breezy fall day. Putting down seed that will settle in for winter and starting next spring, sprout and grow, giving these grasslands new life.
Yeah, it's dumping seed like crazy.
Yeah, that's like I said, I can see it from here.
All thanks to technology and modern flying machines.
You get the results. And the result is that it's cost effective and we're doing a good job and we're not even stomping on the soil.
I know this has a lot of value utility-wise and everything else, but is it also kind of fun?
Oh, it's fun. It really is.
Fun and effective here and in many parts of the Pacific Northwest.
Simple as that. It's easy.
Tim Gordon, KGW News.
Well, glad to see that going on after those terrible fires out there.
Yeah, again, it wasn't as bad as we saw last year, but anytime you have wildfires, there's a concern of people's property and their livelihood. And now as we head into the wet season, we are going to be seeing a lot of those wildfires pretty much put out. And we're going to be seeing some heavy rain here the next, I'd say 12 to 18 hours or so, kind of even less than that. And then going into next week, and I don't want to jump ahead, we could be seeing some very intense storms. But we're already looking at a pretty strong frontal boundary moving on shore right now. I talked about this at the top of the show. Gorgeous conditions to start off the weekend. Crystal clear skies for the most part and very warm temperatures. Not very warm, but for this time of year, we only got the mid-60s. But mid-60s hits a little different when you have a lot of sunshine out there. Showers are moving in tonight and into the overnight hours, and they will be heavy at times. Basically between midnight and 3-4 o'clock in the morning tomorrow is where you're going to be potentially woken up from those heavy downpours. Morning showers tomorrow, and we transition to more scattered showers, but still the threat of seeing some thunderstorms materializing at times tomorrow afternoon. And then late tomorrow, drier conditions. I'd say late afternoon, early part of the evening, we should be done with any threat of heavy downpours. Sunny to start the next work week coming up, but this is that system we're starting to see pop up on the radar right now, basically bringing in some kind of steady stream of showers the last couple of hours along the northwest side of the state, into parts of the northern part of the coast, and here in our area in the northern part of the valley. But here we go. So I said between midnight and 4 o'clock or so is that window where we'll be seeing some of those heavier downpours. And then by 6:30, right around sunrise, we're going to be looking at some drier conditions, but there's still going to be numerous showers at times. Now, we had some friends get their pumpkins earlier today. It was a great day to do it. Tomorrow, if you're hoping to do that, expect to see some muddy conditions, but there will be a window tomorrow where it will be dry. So I would plan late morning, early part of the afternoon, there's a little break where you could be getting some drier conditions, and then some showers will pop up at times throughout the later part of the afternoon, early part of the evening. But I'm kind of dialing down the threat of some thunderstorms as I take a look at this latest run on the Futurecast. But regardless, we are going to be seeing some heavier showers, and some models are suggesting we could be looking at heavy rain up to a half, maybe a 3/4 of an inch of rain. So here's that window I was telling you about. 100% chance of rain basically from midnight until about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And then we'll start to see a little bit of some less of a chance to see those heavier downpours. But by, say, 4 or 5 o'clock tomorrow, the threat is going to be basically gone. Now I want to kind of zip ahead a little bit into next weekend. So we'll be seeing dry conditions from Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And now we go into the later part of next week. We're going to be seeing a pretty strong system that's going to be bringing in intense rainfall at times, plus a chance to see a little bit of some windy conditions as well. And speaking of the wind, we're going to be under that wind advisory through parts of the Columbia River Gorge tomorrow. Gusts up to about 40, 50 miles an hour. Where you see that purple color, that's where the intense wind will be heading into the later part of tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to be looking at a chance for those thunderstorms to move in by the middle part of the day, but I think for the most part, we are going to be looking at drier conditions right around the dinner hour. We topped out in the mid-60s earlier this afternoon. In the next 5 days, we'll be seeing temperatures right around average for this time of year. Yeah, we'll be looking at very nice conditions to start off the work week, staying dry for Tuesday and Wednesday, and the showers roll in by Thursday, and into Friday, we'll be seeing some wet and windy conditions.
All right, Joe, thank you. Well, still to come, the Oregon Ducks ready to put their first loss of the season behind them. Orlando is going to join us with highlights of their latest matchup against Rutgers next.
Hands over here. What's up, man? What is good, everyone? Dan Lanning was done talking about Indiana, and the 8th-ranked Oregon Ducks ready to put their first loss in the rearview mirror, making their longest trip of the season. Oregon visiting New Jersey, and the program's first ever meeting with Rutgers. And it wasn't the start the Ducks had in mind. Gary Bryant Jr. fumbles on the opening drive, and the Scarlet Knights cash that out for 3. Never fear, though. Noah Whittington is here. Hits the edge, and it's all gas. 68 yards to the house. A monster game for Whittington. 11 carries, 125 yards, 3 total TDs. Kenyon Sadiq hauling in a couple of touchdown grabs for the highlight reel. The Ducks offense clicking on all cylinders. Dante Moore completes 11 of his first 12 passes. His final stat line, 290, 4 TDs, 1 pick. Oregon reels off 6 consecutive touchdown drives in the first half. The numbers were absurd. 750 yards of offense, 27 away from the program record. It got out of control in a hurry. Freshman Jordan Davison had 3 carries for 100 yards. Oregon bounces back in dominant fashion, 56-10 the final, improving to 6-1 on the season. Coach Lanning on the mic.
Yeah, we wanted to see a game where we played every phase, played to our standard. I felt like our guys did that tonight. We can be as good as we want to be when we play to our standard, right? And our guys did that tonight. They came in, they executed at a high level, right? Really proud of our coaches and our players.
Next up, Wisconsin at Autzen Stadium. The Badgers coming off back-to-back shutout losses. They're winless in conference play. Game time TBD. It's also the Grateful Ducks' 60th celebration. The Oregon State Beavers in search of their first win under interim head coach Rob Akey. Hosting FCS opponent Lafayette, OSU and Lafayette tied at 10 late in the second quarter. We'll have much more on this game coming up at 11. To Providence Park, Decision Day 25. The Portland Timbers battling for playoff position, facing the best in the West, San Diego. The Timbers on the attack. Christopher Veldet just off the mark. Portland couldn't break through while San Diego finds the back of the net in the 26th, opening the floodgates. San Diego crushes Portland 4-0 at Providence Park. And just minutes ago, Dallas beat Vancouver. So for the second straight season, Portland earns a wild card spot. They're the 8th seed. They'll host Real Salt Lake Wednesday in a 1-game playoff. Let's put this sportscast on ice. KGW, your home for the Seattle Kraken, and it's Kraken takeover in the Rose City.
It's hockey weather, right? Hockey weather.
Oh! From the KGW studios to a surprise visit to MLK Junior Elementary School, Bowie the Kraken mascot has been spotted all over PDX. Today, the team hosting a watch party in Northeast Portland at the Left Bank Annex as the Kraken took on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Good vibes, good times, so release the Kraken.
Let's go Kraken, let's go! Let's go Kraken, let's go!
I love hockey. Kraken's an amazing team and they're playing great this year. It was a ton of fun so far.
And the Kraken got on the board first to the delight of the fans. They pulled off a 4-3 overtime win. Seattle has not lost a game this season.
We love to see that. I saw Bowie earlier this week in Moda Center, Tuesday night.
Everywhere. He's taking over.
He is. He's everywhere in town. It's feeling like hockey season. We had a nice start to the day, but rain is back.
Start. The rain is back, and it's going to be with us a good portion of the day tomorrow. A slight chance for some thunderstorms popping up here and there. Your Sunday is going to be similar to the Sunday we saw last week, but then we transition into some sunny skies heading into a good portion of the early part of the week. And then, not quite hockey weather, but still pretty nice conditions out there. And I got some Kraken swag from the newsroom that I'm sure is going to go in the garbage once my wife sees it when I bring it home. But the kids are going to get some posters and some trading cards. Hey, there's a live look of the gloomy skies above the city.